to the Bible Heroes Holiday Club. I hope you've been having fun and learning lots about all the heroes in the Bible. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? Would that superpower be more helpful to yourself or others? What superpower do you think would help the most people? It's fun to think about heroes and powers, isn't it? Flying, seeing through walls, being invisible. It could be so cool to be able to do something like that. Something that no one else can do. And a lot of superheroes have just one thing that they're good at. One power. Some people have more. So for example, Superman has the ability to have laser vision, he can fly, he can go really fast, and Flash can go really fast. Let's test your superhero knowledge. In our quiz today, I'm going to show you some pictures of some Lego people. And I want you to tell me what hero they are. They might not be superheroes, but they're heroes. So let's have a go and see how you get on. So far we've looked at 4 powers of people in the Bible. Let's go through them to see if you can remember them. Samson on day 1 had the power of strength, and with that he managed to defeat all of the Philistines. On day 2 we looked at David, who had courage, and even though he was a young boy, he defeated Goliath. And then we had Daniel on day 3, who had faith that even though he was going to be thrown into the den with the lions, man-eating lions, he had the faith that God was going to save him. And then on the 4th day, yesterday, we looked at John and how he was confident in who he was. He was confident that he was going to point people towards Jesus. And I bet you've probably worked out who we're going to look at today on our final day. Yeah, of course. We're going to look at the ultimate superhero in the Bible. The ultimate hero, Jesus. When Jesus was on earth, many people thought that he was a kind of superhero. Right after Jesus chose his disciples, he visited the home of Simon and Andrew, one of his two new friends. When he got there, he discovered that Simon's mother-in-law was very poorly, very sick and stuck in bed. All Jesus had to do was touch her hand, and she was instantly healed. This was a huge shock to her and to everyone else watching. How had this man done it? It was impossible. But it wasn't impossible because Jesus really did heal her. Everyone was so excited and in shock that they ran to tell everyone they knew, especially those people who were sick. Everyone needed to see this man and his super power of healing. Person after person came to the door, and Jesus touched each one, healing them of anything they had. In the middle of the night, Jesus snuck out of the house and went off to pray by himself, to talk to God. His disciples found him and asked him to come back because there were more people at the door asking for healing. But Jesus did something very surprising. He said no. You'd think that Jesus would want to heal those people, help them. How could he leave with all of those people needing his help? It's very strange. Maybe he was having an off day. No. Jesus was the only one with that superpower. But Jesus knew that healing the sick wasn't the whole part of the plan. He had something much more important to do, and it involved an even greater superpower that would help even more people. I wonder if you know what that superpower was. The greatest and most amazing, spectacular, important, exciting and powerful superpower of all time. Jesus would save our hearts, everyone's hearts. Anyone who has ever lived or will live in the future can be saved by Jesus. That is one incredible superpower. So even though healing the sick was very important, Jesus knew it wasn't nearly as important as saving us on the inside. Jesus showed that he was a different kind of superhero. He was interested in not just how we are on the outside, but also what's going on the inside. Let's pause for a moment. I would like you to design your own superhero, okay? Are they going to be male or female? Are they going to have, what powers are they going to have? What costume are they going to have? You can draw it, you can write about it, whatever you feel comfortable about. Design your own superhero. Now, there are lots and lots of stories in the Bible about Jesus making people better and Jesus using his powers to do all sorts of things, like healing people. He made storms stop. He made a boys' packed lunch feed over 5,000 people. Plenty of stories in the Bible showing that he was different to everybody else. But then he also said and did things that were different to how people expected. Let's use our imagination to transport us back into one of those times. I'm going to invite you to sit comfortably. That might be back straight, shoulders relaxed, your feet on the floor, and close your eyes. And think about the wonderful planet we live on, with with its variety of habitats and life, oceans, deserts, mountains, forests, wastelands and farmlands. Think about our place in the world, in Europe, in the islands of Great Britain, this country, our town. Think of the communities that make up our town, the shops, the organisations, our own church. Think of the building that you're in right now. Think of where you are in relation to the walls. Think how high the ceiling is above you. Feel the hardness of the floor beneath you. Now I want to transport you to another place and another time, a hot and dusty country nearly 2,000 years ago. The walls around you could be wood or clay. There's a ceiling over your head. The floor is just as hard. The light comes from a flickering oil lamp that casts unreal jumping shadows over the uneven walls. The sound around you are the sounds of conversation. Outside you might hear dogs barking or the footsteps of people passing, but otherwise, silence. The stars in the sky are bright. Jesus is there. You have hoped for a lot from Jesus. He could be destined to be king. You hoped he might fight and win for your country. You know he's a great man. You've seen him heal the sick, make the lame walk, and make the blind see. You know he's been sent by God. He is God's chosen one. He kneels in front of you and looks at you. The eyes you know so well gaze at you. He knows you better than anyone else could ever know you. He knows all the good things you've done. He knows all the times that you haven't done as you should. He knows how worthy and how unworthy you are. Your feet are hot and dusty and tired. He takes them in his cool, clean hands. He draws a bowl of water towards himself and washes your feet. Your feet feel the warmth of the refreshing water flowing over your feet. Think how cleansing the water feels and how gentle his hands are over your feet. He looks at you again and you hear his words. You understand the significance. Jesus is acting as a servant to remind you that you should serve others. You understand that God turns things upside down. You understand that to follow the Master, you have to become a servant. Spend some time thinking about that moment. Now you need to come back to your room, to our time. Feel the hardness of the floor. Remember the position of the walls and the ceiling in the room. Instead of the silence of the 1st century AD, you hear the sounds of the busy 21st century life, and you need to take your place within it again. When you're ready, have a good stretch and open your eyes. Sometimes it's really good to get into a story in a different way, to imagine yourself as part of the story, to imagine that you're there in that moment. That story, that situation would have been really shocking to Jesus's friends, because here was Jesus, this guy that was going to be their rescuer, the person that they'd waited for, And yet he was doing a job that nobody wanted to do. He was doing a job that was normally done by the lowliest of servants. So why did he do that? Why did he wash his disciples' very smelly feet? Because back in those days, they wouldn't have worn trainers or boots. They would have worn sandals, and the roads would have been dusty and dirty, and there probably would have been camel poo, donkey poo all over the floor. And so their feet were pretty gross. And when Jesus washed his friends' feet, he was showing how much he loved them. And ultimately how much he loves everybody, no matter how dirty they are. You could be the richest person in the world or have no pennies at all. Jesus still loves you the same. And Jesus said to his friends and says to us, I want you to do the same for everybody else. Jesus wants us to take our powers, take our strengths, and love people the way that he loves people. That is the thing that I would like you to take away from this week. 2 things, really. To know how much you are loved by God, and to love other people. Because if you're loved by God, then other people are going to be loved by God. And that's sometimes a little bit difficult. So know that you are loved by God and love other people, even when it's difficult. I hope that you have enjoyed your time on the Mini Bible Heroes Holiday Club, and I hope to see you again very soon for some more fun and activities. Stay safe and stay at home if you can. Bye!